started because it's after 4, and we're just trying to wait for some people to make their way in. And we're so appreciative that everybody's here because the weather is just gorgeous, and I'm sure it was hard to leave home and go outside and go back in a building. So thank you. We're grateful that you're here. We hope you have an exciting night tonight. I think most of us have been here. Do all need to know what all the different letters stand for, creation tonight? I think we'll go ahead and bypass that. We're here tonight to talk about interpersonal relationships, and we kind of had a mishap. The presenter that was supposed to be here tonight was not able to, so we have Nancy Judson is going to fill in for her. Bless her soul. Thank you, Nancy. And we're going to have a wonderful program. We also have, just like to say, give thanks because we've had some family go to Fiji for some mission work, and what cyclone was it?
Winston.
Cyclone Winston. I think they absolutely got hit immediately as soon as they got there, shortly thereafter. And we were all praying, and we just got good news that everything's okay. The people, family members, everything's okay. They went there on a medical mission trip. So I'd just like to give pause for that for a moment, if it's all right, and just give a word of thanks. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us all together again today to learn about the message that you have for us about taking care of ourselves and taking care of our loved ones and just prospering in life and health. And we give thanks to you, Lord, for the situation in Fiji, that it was fairly mild and everything is back to normal, which is good. Our mission, health mission, is going to prosper there. We thank you for this evening, and we praise you and ask for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. And so, as our custom has been, I'm going to start off with a few proverbs I found. Whenever I feel like exercise, I lie down until the feeling passes. That's by Robert Hutchins. I have to exercise in the morning before my brain figures out what I'm doing. And if it weren't for the fact that the TV set and the refrigerator are so far apart, some of us wouldn't get any exercise at all. Last but not least, in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 1 and 2 and 7 and 8, they say, "My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee." And verses 7 and 8, "Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel, and marrow to thy bones." And so without further delay, we will have Nancy present our program tonight. We'll be starting out with the video, or you want to? Oh, actually, I apologize. We're gonna pinch hit. My daughter was supposed to be here, and she likes to cook with quinoa, and so we're going to put together the recipe that I can remember when she made it for us the one time. Quinoa is a big deal, I guess, now because it is a complete source of protein. Dr. Sinnott, is that true? Is there anything else about quinoa?
Johnson here, we looked it up this afternoon. Quinoa grows even around here. It has they grow 3 to 6 feet high, and there's lots of seeds on the head of them. And it is one of the few grains that has essentially a complete protein.
Awesome,
and,
awesome.
And they're just fun to cook because when they cook, as they cook, they develop little pigtails. So if you haven't seen them, you ought to take a look at it.
So it's not real tough and scary like when you're cooking rice or something that you have to really watch before you really mess it up.
It's very easy. A cup of quinoa, 2 cups of water, half teaspoon of salt, bring it to water to a boil, stick it in there, cover it, turn it down on low, and wait 20 minutes and eat.
And you don't even have to drain or anything like that?
No.
Okay, neat. Go ahead, Pat.
I was just Googling about the quinoa, and red is the highest in protein with 8.14 grams. And the black has 8 grams of protein. It also is a good source of fiber. The red having the 5.1 or 2 grams, and this black has 5 grams of fiber. And then it also has the folate that helps keep us full and helps us to even lose weight.
Well, amen to that.
The B vitamins and everything.
Wow, and I would have thought the black had the most because they usually say the darker the color, the more
Well,
nutritional.
essentially does the
But it's
same.
close, yeah.
Very close.
Another interesting thing about her recipe here is the tomato. When I used to, well, I still eat grass-fed beef, but I used to work at Organic Valley, and there was a lady there, she just was a walking encyclopedia, and she said, when you eat spaghetti, if you eat meat with your pasta or your sauce, the red sauce, the tomato breaks down the protein, so it's like a perfect meal. You have your pasta, your carbohydrate. If you have meat or if you have a protein substitute and you have the tomato, this breaks down the protein more readily for your body to absorb. So that's an ingredient in there. We have some cherry tomatoes and organic, what'd you say, from Michigan too?
Yeah.
Or,
The olive oil?
yep, and then we have some extra virgin olive oil. We have an organic lemon here, which I have. John, you're gonna help us demonstrate. Did Dr. Sinnott show you how to use this
How
tool
to
here?
zest the lemon?
No, but I have the general idea.
You have the general idea. Can you go wash up, honey, please? Thank you. So he's going to help us with the zest. Let's see, we've got some fancy goat cheeses here. And so I don't know if you guys are picky about your flavors. Some people like goat cheese and some don't. I think my husband was saying he didn't really prefer this soft cheese.
This is a very soft
Both
cheese,
organic.
like a cream cheese, only has flavor, where your cream cheese is rather bland. It's made from goat. This also feta cheese is a goat cheese,
Yep.
but it's a firmer cheese that you can actually crumble.
So they're
and
both
it has the-
organic goat cheeses.
Yeah.
This is a fancy name. Where's our pastor? Did he tell you? It's for goat, Montchevre.
Chevre, yeah, you know, chevre. Anyhow, he says it actually means goat cheese,
Yep.
local.
We've got cilantro here, and we've got
Parsley.
this is not the flat Italian, it's the curly parsley or Italian, I think. And I started using this about a year or two ago in my smoothies. We haven't made any lately, but it's supposed to be good for cleansing the blood.
Well,
Good.
parsley alone, like lemons, also freshens your breath.
And then your black olives. I think we're all on board with olives nowadays. So, well,
And the garlic. You're gonna show them how to do the garlic, right?
oh yeah, well, why don't you do this and I'll do the garlic. My daughter put, I think
You want me
she's
to
got
just-
some organic garlic powder here, which I really like in a pinch, but, no pun intended there, but,
Do you want to do the whole thing in there then, maybe?
yeah, we'll do the whole thing. I'm gonna really feel dumb, but I'm gonna show you a trick that my mom does. I don't know. Well, first of all, she told me that if you stick garlic in the whole bulb in the freezer and let it freeze and you bring it out and you break it and the peel just slides right off. It's so easy. But I don't know if any of you have done this with your garlic. I don't know if I can do this on this table.
Go for it.
And the paper just comes right off. And also, instead of just peeling it open and dicing it, this actually, like some other herbs and vegetables, it releases the flavor better
This
because
is
now
quinoa.
you've smashed it now instead of just diced it, so the flavor is released.
What did they put in first?
Black
Just mixing it all
quinoa.
together.
This is black quinoa, now the white quinoa.
Oh,
So literally, I just hit that. Does anybody else do this? Okay. So I'm sure, and we know, does anybody want to chime in on garlic, the health values of it? I mean, I don't swear by many things, but I will stand by garlic. The stomach flu went through my house one year. All my kids were small. Literally, and my husband who's very healthy, literally everybody had the 24-hour bug and was throwing up. The babies were throwing up on me. I was the only one that ate a ton of garlic mashed potatoes that day. Nobody wanted it because it was too hot. It was too spicy. I'm the only one that didn't get sick. So,
Everybody stayed away.
yeah, right, thank you, Pat.
Yeah, that could be easy, yeah. Doesn't help that our businesses are better.
Can I get a new assistant over here?
One of the active ingredients in garlic, I can't remember the name of it, but there's like 21 different diseases and cures that it works on. They say a certain amount of it will actually reverse heart disease, parts of heart disease, taking enough of it. But it's a pretty substantial amount, like 3 or 4 cloves a day.
Garlic is
You
ancient
talk
too.
about making it easier to digest because it's, you know, if you pickle it or something like that, once you heat it, a lot of those properties will go south.
Say that last part again?
Well, if you keep it fresh, not heating it,
Oh, okay.
is when it keeps most of those properties.
Oh,
It still has a lot of great benefits when you cook with it.
Yeah, I think,
It's just keeps, if you like pickle it or eat it fresh, which is the best, but it's hard to stomach that much garlic at one time.
oh, man.
Pickling
yeah.
it, you can, it's like candy then.
It's almost like a contest in our house. We're always trying to, we know it's healthy for us, we're trying to eat it, and then like it's burning and we're just making these faces and just trying to be the toughest one that can stomach this stuff, but
can I ask a question about that? I worked
Yeah.
at a hospital once where a doctor was taking that, and I thought, the thing is, it came right through his pores.
oh yeah.
So I don't know if you realized what he smelled like.
Yeah.
It was just like, whoa, you know, we had his office in a smaller room. So is there, and that was quite a few years ago, so what is nowadays for it not coming through your pores so strong? His really came through strong.
I don't think there's anything.
Yeah,
Still.
there is stuff you can take that, I can't remember what the ingredient in it is, but they actually make where they take the garlic smell out of it, there's actually like
Yeah, let's just polish this.
a garlic oil type pill that they take that doesn't smell at all.
Yeah, just like
It's like, I wanna say Addison, does that sound right?
Go ahead, we'll do that, skip this.
Well, I think we should get some of the color.
It's just the open.
I had, when I first learned, I mean, I've always grown up eating garlic. My mom used it a lot in her cooking, and she didn't rarely get sick, and we didn't really get sick either, really. I don't really remember going to the hospital except for when I had a broken arm. I never got sick. But I remember going to work one day,
Yeah,
when I
it's,
worked in
it's
Fond du Lac,
stuff
and
you've never seen.
my girlfriend was like, oh, my coworker, she's like, oh, you really smell of garlic. But I think it's worth it. I mean, I'd rather, who was it, Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine, how does that saying go?
Let food be thy medicine, let medicine be thy food.
Right. I mean, I have to deal, we have a very dear friend, he's like a father figure to us, and he always smells like garlic, but that guy is just happy, he's energetic, he's probably like 65 years old, and you can't hardly keep him down. He's always working, doing something. Yeah, Russ,
I have a friend that used to like to go fishing. He'd eat a clove of garlic in the morning and then it'd come out of his pores and get
The fish stayed away?
No, the mosquitoes stayed away.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Spray
right.
whatever. They didn't like the smell of garlic, so like she was saying, comes out of his sweat. You know, and didn't have
That's
to
it.
down for
That's
That's
mosquitoes.
neat.
They never got a mosquito bite.
Really?
Just because they smelled like garlic and they didn't like that.
Another bad thing I did, I must have been eating a lot of garlic, and there's oil of oregano. I don't know if anybody knows about that. That's supposed to be really good for healing, and it's medicinal. And I don't know if I had it in a little tincture I made to spray. It was like cold season. And so I not only had that garlic, I had sprayed this oregano oil, and she's like, who's got pizza? Who ordered pizza for lunch? And I'm like, it's just oregano. That was my coworker. She's always eating, always hungry.
Another thing about the quinoa is it's ancient foods, but it's also known as part of the superfoods group. Along with your garlic is ancient too, you know.
Yes.
So,
This is really starting to look good. Okay, we're gonna put the cheeses in here. And the reason why we're doing this first is to let it sit. It'd be better to sit overnight, like a lot of stuff that has red sauce in it.
Soup.
But we're gonna, no? You don't think I should add this?
it,
Well,
That
Yeah.
should, you should put that on the,
we'll put it on the tasting. If anybody, we just tried to cube this up. It is so dense and
it's
creamy.
soft.
It's very goat tasting, goat milk. So-
there's,
It's got good flavors.
Maybe we'll throw the rest of
It's
the
an
feta. We'll
acquired
throw the rest of
taste.
the feta in there then. I think we'll save you all from, because not a lot of people like the goat cheese, but it's, I think if you're gonna have dairy, I think it's better for you than cow's milk, right?
It's a softer cheese.
more digestible.
More easily yeah.
Okay, then we'll need our little helper up here with the zest.
And you wanna put the
Oh, yeah.
sauce in it. And oil and salt.
Yep, throw that in there. You see, you doctor it up.
Thanks.
If we had a cooking show, we'd probably be fighting by now. Just wait till.
No, he
Did you
can
do
do
it
it
well
now.
already?
No, but, let him do
So
it.
the tomatoes, what is this, organic strain tomatoes, no salt added. Although I do like, I think there's some hype about salt nowadays. You are supposed to get the iodine in there, which is good for thyroid development, is actually, I guess, good for, brain development in younger children. So we do need a little salt for flavor.
Well, you know, you tell a cow they're limited to only one lick on the salt block.
That's right.
It's kind of a misnomer too with some of that. You don't wanna overdo, and all things moderation.
Yeah.
This is not a measure.
How much is this cleaning?
Why don't you, I would say at least.
I'm gonna
So how many
do some at a time.
tablespoons of sauce did you put in there?
Which sauce?
Exactly. I just
How
told her,
about
I
that
said,
many tablespoons?
let's put half.
I'm
What
doing a
happened there?
little at a time
We're
so I
gonna cut up some
can
more
mix
cheese.
it in. Thank you.
So to take the place of this creamy cheese, do you like this stuff, Connie? Do you like goat cheese?
Goat cheese?
Yeah, this is, Chris just made us boycott because he thinks it's very strong in goat flavor, cheese flavor. Have you had that before?
I
'Cause
think it's
know,
mild.
I don't like
you know,
goat
I
cheese.
know, because your hubby likes that, no, what's that horrible stuff that Limburger he likes?
Burger, yes.
How many people like Limburger in here? I think that'll run people out of the house.
My father used to eat that. He loved
What's
it.
that?
And blue cheese as well.
Blue cheese. I actually did not
Love
like that
blue
growing up, but I
cheese.
like it now. My taste buds have changed.
But no, I don't like the taste of goat.
I almost think it has to be a learned taste, like many
Like
things.
you grew up, yeah, with it.
So does cow's milk.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you didn't
If you're
have.
raised on goats like I was
Oh,
as a kid,
really?
we didn't like the cow's milk when we got cows.
Did it probably taste kind of
Do you
plain?
like goat cheese?
I don't know.
It's chapped.
Regular cheese, we made our own cottage cheese out of goat's milk.
Oh, wow.
I really like the feta. You like
Got
feta
this
cheese?
up.
Yeah.
That's good out of goat.
So we replaced that creamy stuff with the rest of that feta.
okay.
Do you need more tomato in there?
I don't know how much, I think it's sticking.
Okay, do you wanna
I don't
show
know.
everybody? Is that, probably be careful in the lemon.
What's the red sauce, Lisa?
It's just some organic, what does it say? Just strained tomatoes. It's just tomato sauce. So this is what it looks like. It's very colorful and flavor. It's going to be flavorful because it's got the herbs and
The
the
garlic.
salty feta, and we want to let it sit to absorb that tomato, and there's that lemon zest in there. I can already smell it. Oops, excuse me.
I
Is it
like
like
so
a tabbouleh?
steak a little more.
You know what?
It's almost like a
Yeah,
tabbouleh.
the protein.
It's different.
You smell the garlic,
than tabbouleh,
everybody?
But similar.
What's the green? Quinoa, we got the black and the white. And we just found out that the red has the most nutritional value. Is it the most protein?
Most protein and fiber, but not much.
Can you? Okay, we probably should wait, Johnny, because we don't know if that's gonna work.
I thought
You need
I
more?
would do just a little,
Okay,
just a wee bit.
so,
Turn it. Okay. Now,
So are you mainly getting the skin from the, you said the zest, or is that?
oh yes, by the way, it is an organic lemon.
and it was washed.
You know, I don't, some people go nuts if it's not organic, they're very stuck up about it, but you know what, we can't afford everything organic, and I did my research, and for sure I know strawberries is in the top 10 of produce that you want to buy organic because of the sprays. Lemon is up there because it's got oil in the skin, and that's going to retain the sprays. So you want, if you're going to let it soak in water, if you're just going to squeeze it maybe, but even then, because when you squeeze it, you still get that lemon, the zest, the oil from the zest. So I would recommend, if you can, try to get this organic, because then I'd feel better about putting it straight in the food, the zest.
So when you're saying, I'm wondering about that zest part, I really haven't done much with that. So the zest is what comes out of the.
It's the
the
peel.
outer- the
That's
peel.
got that oily, that strong, flavor.
You don't wanna get the white though, cause the white is bitter.
Right.
Just the skin.
Probably not for the food, but the white, like in grapefruit, and I can't remember the name of it. It's
Yes.
got the white part of the grapefruit,
PITH.
especially PITH. I don't know about the other citrus fruits, but it is so good. They actually in the health food store they had a little bottle like this. It was like $30, just made from that white grapefruit part that's supposed to be very medicinal and healing for you. But yeah, it doesn't taste very good when you're trying to cook. You want that yellow flavor, flavor of the yellow.
Does this look like,
Yeah, so we're gonna let that, thank you, John. We're going to let that,
you want this refrigerator?
marinate in the fridge, yep, or somewhere, and we'll let Nancy take over. Thank you, Nancy.
Right, so I've got something new to start with tonight. Whoa. You ready?
Go ahead.
Okay. Better?
Yeah.
Social support is probably one of the least focused on areas of health, yet is the most important of any of the influences. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend." You can either draw it on paper or you can do it in your mind. I want you to do a kind of a bullseye. 3 sections. The intersection being the number 1, number 2, and number 3. And I want you to think of your friends, your families. In the center one, I want you to think of, write the names of people who are the most important to you, who support you the most. You know you can always depend on them, no matter what. In the middle section, the section 2, write the friends and the relatives, or whatever that way. They're significant to you, but maybe not there quite as much for you. And then in the outer one, people that you are, you have a relationship with, but they don't necessarily support you. If you ask them, they would. But they're not going to be the first person there. And I just want you to think about the people that you intermingle with and stuff. Ponder on that. We're going to start the video right now, but I wanted you to think about that before we got started on that, to give you a little time to work on that. We don't stop to realize how many people are within our lives and how they affect our lives. And that. You ready yet? Just about.
Isn't it amazing how time spent with a friend can make you happy? But researchers are becoming more and more alarmed by a certain trend. People are disconnecting from each other socially. In 1985, on average, each of us had 3 people in whom we could confide important matters. But by 2004, only 2. And today, research indicates that 25% of Americans have no one to confide in. Isn't it sad to realize that 1 out of every 4 people you meet is socially isolated? And this social isolation is associated with a host of emotional and physical illnesses. In general, people tend to engage in destructive behaviors such as alcoholism, smoking, and overeating to help cope with their loneliness. We all need friends, because the only thing in life that really matters is our loving relationships. Friends, family, even pets. Say hello to one of my buddies, Oreo. Speaking of which, do you have a buddy? And I'm not just talking about a pet. Someone with whom you're close to and can confide in. Someone who loves you and wants to help you. If your answer is yes, then you just may have a 3 to 5 times lower risk of premature death and disease. We need friends. And today we'll see and hear compelling research on the subject. So let's join Dr. Winnie King and discover some fascinating information on interpersonal relationships. What do you think, buddy? Oreo says yes.
There are people in my life who just make me smile whenever I think of them. They lift me up and make my life better. And then on the other hand, there are people who, well, you know those kind of people. It's an undeniable fact that good interpersonal relationships improve our life. Dr. Dean Ornish writes this about friendships. I'm not aware of any other factor in medicine, not diet, not smoking, not exercise, not stress, not genetics, not drugs, not surgery, that has a greater impact on our quality of life, incidence of illness, and premature death from all causes. President Abraham Lincoln was known to have said, "The better part of one's life consists of his friendships." Well, sometimes we wonder how this can be true, especially during the cold and flu season. But consider this counterintuitive study. Volunteers were given nasal drops that contained the common cold virus, and, as you would expect, most of them became infected. But those with the most friends were less likely to develop cold symptoms. Social connection and interpersonal relationships foster good health and happiness, meaning friends equates with better health. A wise creator designed us to flourish within an environment of mutually caring relationships. And believe it or not, this begins when we're still in the womb. In a review of 144 fetal studies, we concluded that social support from a partner or a family member is associated with improved fetal growth regardless of a woman's level of acute stressors. In other studies, we found that the presence of a supportive companion during labor and delivery reduced the need for cesarean section and other interventions. In fact, in the control group in which delivering mothers had a supportive companion, the duration of the delivery was only 8.7 hours compared to 19.3 hours for those who didn't have a companion. Healthy relationships are essential to healthy children as well. In looking at more than 100 studies, we've seen that the most resilient children tended to have good social skills, support from mentors or peers, connection to family, and a loving relationship with a caregiver. There's a growing body of research on interconnectedness and adolescence. In 1997, data was collected from 90,000 teens and 18,000 of their parents across the United States. They found that kids who feel connected to family, church, school, and their community are far less likely to participate in behaviors that put them at risk. The standout theme revealed in this research? Connectedness. As you might guess, the connectedness we experience in our younger years also impacts us in our later years. Family relationships are the earliest and most influential as it relates to our health. In one study, adults were asked to describe what kind of mother and father they had. 95% of those who used few positive words and who also rated their parents poorly in caring had diseases diagnosed in midlife. But of the adults who used many positive words and who rated their parents high in parental caring, only 29% were diagnosed with midlife diseases. Interpersonal relationships, a connection to others, improves our quality of life. We also see this in marriage. Many studies show that married people live longer and they have lower mortality for almost every major cause of death compared with people who are single, separated, widowed, or divorced. Wives who say their marriage is satisfying and supportive have stronger immune systems. They have a higher percentage of T cells and more helper lymphocytes, as well as less depression and loneliness. One interesting study posed this question: does your wife show she loves you? Those who answered yes showed a reduced risk of angina, which is chest pain related to narrowing of the coronary arteries, even in the presence of other high risk factors. In the longest continuous study in the world on aging, we found that a warm relationship with our spouse is an excellent predictor of aging well. From before we are born and continuing throughout our lifetime, interconnectedness makes us stronger, healthier, and happier. Friendship is vital at any age. Active seniors in retirement homes who were visited 3 times a week showed increased immune function within just a month. It's the social contact that creates life-enhancing results. In a study involving female breast cancer survivors, women who participated in a weekly support group lived 2 times longer than women who didn't participate in a group. Men who were socially isolated and under high stress had more than 4 times the risk of dying from heart disease. Positive social interaction and interpersonal connections promote longevity, improve the quality of our life, and make us happier. I'm sure you're getting the picture, but did you know there is healing in loving touch? People who touch and are touched enjoy the best health. And it doesn't have to be dramatic to make a positive impression. In one study, as students left a university library, they were asked how satisfied they were with the service they had received. They didn't know that the study wasn't about the quality of library service at all. It was about the effect of touch. The library clerk was instructed to touch half the students very lightly when returning their library cards to them. The students who had been touched had a much higher opinion of the service they received at the library. But it isn't just human touch that affects us positively. Believe it or not, the loving, affectionate touch of our pets impacts our health positively too. A year after having been admitted to the hospital for chest pain or a heart attack, only 6% of the pet owners had died, compared to 28% of the patients who didn't have pets. And this was independent of disease severity. Touch will heal your soul. Social connection will relax your mind. Supportive interpersonal relationships will enhance and restore your life.
God wants us to enjoy life and be happy. And we enjoy life most when we're connected and interacting with others. But positive interpersonal relationships don't just improve our lives, they make life worth living. Here are 4 ways you can start improving your interpersonal relationships to enrich your life and better your health. First, simply just reach out. Most people are just as shy as we are. Do what I try to do. Push through the shyness and connect anyway. People are eager to make new friends. Many of them are just waiting for someone to make the first move, to initiate first contact. Be that person. Reach out. Trust me, it's worth it. It's as simple as saying, "Hi, my name is Nancy." Consider making it a goal right now to warmly greet at least one new person every day. Smile at them, and guess what? I bet they'll smile back. And it'll warm your heart a little bit. Savor the moment. Next, mingle with people. Get out there and enjoy being part of a group. Be involved with life. Be more of a participant and less of a spectator. Interact, connect, and remember to go have fun with your friends. The third one is volunteer. Volunteers report experiencing what they call a helper's high. It makes them feel good. And lastly, accept people unconditionally, just as we want to be accepted. Embrace them, love them without an agenda. Life is tough enough. Just be their friend. Be grateful for their companionship and never take them for granted, because life becomes joyful, meaningful, and thoroughly satisfying when we share it. That's creation health.
Well, I can easily say is what she did. Hi, my name is Nancy. I saw that and I just had to chuckle when I first saw it. But she is right, reach out, touch, introduce yourself. Sometimes it's pretty scary, As I was getting ready for tonight and that, I thought, they talked about touching people and so on that way. So I didn't get to greet the last ones of you, but the first ones I tried to greet you, at least a handshake, a touch, something that way. And it does make you feel more welcome. Just getting out there and doing things. Relationships and health. A social system is vital to our health because it improves our overall health by lowering mortality rates and improving quality of life. Deep personal relationships improve the quality of life. God himself said it best in Genesis 2:18. Is it not good that man? It is not good that man should be alone. God designed and created us to be at our best when connected to Him and others. We are relational beings. It is really this simple. God created us to enjoy relationships, and He craves to enjoy a relationship with us. What do we mean by social connection or social connectedness? In the broadcast sense, it means the interacting with others, particularly with God, other people, and nature. It is not the same in every respect for any two people, although it has similar feelings of openness, generosity, and goodwill, no matter what specific forms it takes. Relationships are one of life's greatest blessings. Healthy interpersonal relationships include good communication, servanthood, sharing, touch, encouragement, and trust. They create an environment of hope, closeness, trust, and belonging. Perhaps the best known example of the power of social connectedness and how it affects his health is Dr. Dean Ornish, which we saw his picture earlier, and his work in reversing heart disease. When most people think of his program, they tend to think of a low-fat diet, exercise, and its meditation components. But if you ask Dr. Ornish to comment on the most important part of his program, he answers interpersonal relationships. He says, I am not aware of any other factor in medicine, not diet, not smoking, not exercise, stress, genetics, nor drugs or surgery, that has a greater impact on our quality of life, incidence of illness, and premature death from all causes. This quote came from his book, Love and Survival, the scientific basis for healing power of intimacy, which describes in detail the important research in this area. The link between social support and health is very strong. So many studies have supported this powerful link that it has been named the Rosetta effect. This comes from a study spanning 50 years in the little town of Rosetta, Pennsylvania. Coronary heart disease in Rosetta at the beginning of the study was about half that of the two neighboring towns, despite risk factors being the same in all three locations. This intrigued researchers so that they spent the next 50 years studying the details of the residents' lives in these three cities to determine why it was true. They discovered that Rosetta was settled by a tightly knit group of religious immigrants from southern Italy. During the first 30 years of study, these families were characterized by a high level of social connectedness, extensive intermarriage, strong family ties, and a supportive, nurturing community. The researchers hypothesized that this high level of social connectedness might buffer residents from heart disease and early death. This was shown to be true when in the 1960s and 70s, when the cohesiveness of the community became weakened and heart disease rates in Rosetta climbed to the same levels as those of the other two communities. As our social connections go down, feelings of sadness and loneliness can go up. Do you ever find yourself feeling sad, lonely, or depressed? 1/3 of people say that they do feel lonely. 25% of Americans say that they have no one to confide in. 29 million people live alone. Loneliness is fast becoming a major disease with severe health and wellness impacts that even include premature death. There is a 3 to 5 times greater risk for heart disease with loneliness. Loneliness and isolation affect health negatively. It increases premature death by up to 500%. Think back to the little circle that I had you either draw or think of in your minds before we started the video on that. Where is the larger group? In the small inner one, in the second one, or the third one? Where are those people connected in your little bullseye circle? How many are in there? When they first started the video, they were talking about, what was it? I can't remember the years, but most people had 3 people that they could really closely count on, and then it was down to 2. How many people are in your inner circle? And you don't have to answer, but just think about that. We need a social support system. We need someone who really cares for us, who we feel close to, who loves you, who wants to help you, and you can confide in. If you answer yes to these questions, you may have 3 to 5 times lower risk of premature death and disease from all causes, even lower according to some studies. These include a decreased risk in heart attack, stroke, infectious diseases, many types of cancer, allergies, arthritis, tuberculosis, autoimmune diseases, low birth weight, and low APGAR scores, alcoholism, drug abuse, suicide, and so on. This reduction of premature death was found both in people who were healthy and in those who were unhealthy at the start of the studies. Loneliness and isolation affect our health by preventing us from fully experiencing the joy of life. When people lose out on this most important element of whole person wellness, they tend to engage in unhealthy coping behaviors and can sink into depression. Some of these unhealthy coping behaviors are smoking and overeating, which adversely affect our health. Loneliness and isolation also increase premature death from all causes up to 500% or more, independent of behaviors through different mechanisms, many of which are not fully understood. In short, anything that promotes a sense of isolation often leads to illness and suffering. Anything that promotes a sense of love and intimacy, connection and community is healing. Common characteristics of people 100 plus years old. They're active, socially connected, non-smokers, healthy diet, they get adequate rest, and they live with a purpose. Social connection positively impacts our longevity. Another thing that she brought out was volunteering. My husband and I are both lucky enough to be with the first responders, and some people say, oh, how do you like that? Having to get up in the middle of the night and go and stuff that way. And you know, we are a very close-knit group. And like she said, you get that sense of well-being, that sense of connectedness. You, I don't know, it's kind of almost a high. It's weird, but it is. By volunteering. And not everyone has to do that to a level, you know. Just helping out at the food pantry or whatever that way. I was surprised at different places and they have listed here that you could work with. The Adventist Disaster Relief Agency, American Red Cross, Boys and Girl Scouts, Grey Panthers, I'm not sure what that one is, Kiwanis, we have that locally here. You know, there's so many different things that you can actually do to help out. I know there are many people that go to the nursing home locally here and do reading for people who can no longer read. And it gives you that well-being, besides getting you out there to make more friends and to, you know, get that community feeling. Some people say, oh, I don't have time. Well, sometimes we just need to make that time. And we need to put that hand out and say, hi, my name is Nancy. It's a little scary at first. The other thing to remember is to listen to that person too. They have guidelines for modeling good listening skills. Be interested and attentive. Children can tell whether they have their parents' interest and attention by the way the parent replies or does not reply. Forget about the telephone and other distractions. Maintain eye contact to show that you are really listening. Encourage talking. Some children need an invitation to start talking. Children are more likely to share their ideas and feelings when others think them important. Listen patiently. People think faster than they speak. Children often take longer than adults to find the right words. Listen as though you have plenty of time. Avoid cutting children out before they have finished speaking. It is easy to form an opinion or reject children's views before they finish what they have to say. It may be difficult to listen respectfully and not correct misconceptions, but respect their right and have the expression of their expressed their opinions. Listen to nonverbal messages. Many messages children send are communicated nonverbally by their tone of voice, their facial expressions, their energy level, their posture, or changes in their behavior patterns. You can often tell more from the way a child says something than from what is said. When a child is obviously upset, be sure to take the time to give them the attention they need. They always say a lot of times you say more by not saying anything at all, and you understand then what they're coming from. We're so many times, like pointed out here, you're so easy to jump in there. I have a little saying in here: when I ask you to listen to me and you start giving advice, you have not done what I asked. When I ask you to listen to me and you begin to tell me that I shouldn't feel that way, you are trampling on my feelings. When I ask you to listen to me and you have to do something to solve my problem, you have failed me, strange as that may seem. So please, listen and just hear me. And if you want to talk, wait a minute for your turn, and I'll listen to you. Author unknown. I thought that was pretty interesting. Mark Bater said, "The first handshake in life is the greatest of all, the clasp of an infant's fist around the parent's finger." And Eleanor Roosevelt also said, "Those who bring sunshine to the lives of others cannot keep it from themselves." I come from a very large family. There are 7 children in my family, and we were raised with my grandfather, and I just lucky to have that, and now my church family and my community and stuff that way, and I cannot imagine some of the people that unfortunately do not have that and have to live alone and whatever. And that's an opportunity for the rest of us to get out there and maybe help someone and make a new friend at that point too. It helps us health-wise. I mean, we saw on the video there how it helps us physically, mentally, and stuff, and it helps them also. I think we just need to get out there and try. Okay, the song I think is your, ready there?
Thank you, Nancy, for stepping up at the last minute there. I was not able to watch the video, so maybe you can come up with a question for me for prize time. I do have one quiz question, though. Who remembers what color quinoa was the most nutritious? Was Russ?
The black.
Oh, close. Connie?
Red.
It's the red. But you know what? I think it was equal in some, what regard was it? There was something, there you go. You got, I don't know if you were there last time. The quinoa, we have red, black, and white. And they said that, and Pat looked it up, that the red is the, you know what, the black is really good too. I think the black is always going to be better than the white anyway, any color. You can find the darker the better. That's the, yep, dandelion root. Yeah, you had that before? Okay.
Does anybody remember the name of the study?
Really?
Does anyone remember the name of the study for the town where the heart rate was so low for 30 years and then all of a sudden it came back up?
Pat, you can't answer.
Oh, shoot.
Rosetta.
Rosetta.
Rosetta?
Yes, the Rosetta.
All right.
They call it the Rosetta effect, yes.
Awesome. Do you have one more or no? Otherwise, it'll be all right unless you have one more. That's ginger ale. It's just very strong in ginger. Yeah, there's no alcohol.
I just thought this one was cute, and I don't see it. What is the first handshake of life? Bingo.
Is that it?
Yeah. When the baby first grabs the parent's hands. I think as parents, we all remember that the first time our baby clasps their little finger there and hangs on tight.
All right. I think that concludes, unless you have another interesting one or no. Okay. That concludes our quiz time. Thank you for participating. Next week, it's me. I'm doing my presentation on Outlook, and Nancy will be doing prize time. And I haven't found the opening and closing yet, but I'm sure I've got plenty of volunteers. Wasn't that one of the lessons today? Volunteerism. So thank you for coming today. When the weather was so beautiful, it would have been easy to play hooky and just been out there. But I hope your time here was worth it. You got some good lessons, and now we'll have the quinoa in the back there for you to sample. There's plenty of good stuff back there. Organic black mission figs and Turkish figs. We've got some dates. What else is back there, Pat? We've got some
We have the jewel dates.
We do? Oh yeah, Bejeweled.
Some biscotti, chocolate
Oh, we have some biscotti with no egg.
And you have
Compliments of Tom here, our cameraman. No egg biscotti. And I've got
super green.
the carob super greens. All the ingredients are there. And then there's acai coconut. That's organic. Those have nuts in them. All the ingredients that were questionable I put out there for you to see in case you have allergies.
And the salad.
Oh, of course, the salads. So we hope you enjoy it. Stick around and mingle. And Verla, would you have a closing prayer for us?
As far as dear Father in heaven, thank you for being with us. Thank you that we can learn about you and how you can help our bodies. Be with us now as we depart and go to our homes. Protect us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you.